I'm speaking with Amatoritsero Ede, who's a Nigerian-born writer whose first collection of poems, A Writer's Pains and Caribbean Blues, won the ANA All-African Christopher Okigbo Prize for Literature. Mr. Ede has been writer-in-residence at Carleton University in Ottawa from 2005 for 2 years, under the auspices of PEN Canada's Writers in Exile Network. He remains there working on his PhD in African literature, and he's also currently working on a novel, a collection of poems, and a play. Mr. Ede, welcome.
Thank you.
And I guess what we're wondering most is how different the situation is for a writer who's working and came from Nigeria in comparison with someone in North America.
Working as a writer in exile, the very first problem you have is that of being a disconnect to the new literary circle in which you find yourself in. And this is where PEN Canada comes in and sort of try to rehabilitate the writer who is seeking refuge somewhere and introduce them to the literary community.
So what were the circumstances that made you personally a writer in exile?
The circumstances being not so much as the classic case of imprisonment or death threats, but that in '94 I left Nigeria, went to Germany mainly to study. And then we had a government in Nigeria which hounded some writers like Ken Saro-Wiwa, who was also an environmental activist. And in 1995, or before 95, there was rumors that he was going to be executed. So we started anti-government work in Germany. With the Nobel laureate, he also had to leave Nigeria because of Abacha, the president at the time. He was in the US and he had an organization called the Democratic Front of Nigeria, and we worked under that auspices in Germany and organized conferences and talks, public awareness about the situation with this writer being threatened in Nigeria. And that time, all the conferences we did, of course there are flyers, there are printouts, there are stuff online, and the government people were always there in the audience. They would collect names, and they had,
This is the Nigerian government,
yes.
Then, even in Germany?
Yes. So they collected all of that, and after that, when I finished my studies there, the government had changed. By '95, they had hanged Ken Saro-Wiwa. The government changed, but I knew it wouldn't be a good idea to just go straight to to Nigeria. So I came to Canada to do the PhD. And if you're a writer anywhere and you're a member of PEN, I'm a member of PEN Nigeria, and you're automatically a member of PEN International. So when I came here, I had some problems and decided, well, get in touch with my invisible host, which is PEN. Mm-hmm. So I got in touch with PEN Canada, and they sort of introduced me to the literary circle here.
Have you noticed a difference then in the concerns of Canadian writers and the Canadian writing community in comparison with the communities that you came from before you were here?
It's an interesting question. I find that most of this material I've read, poetry, prose, not much prose, because I read more poetry than prose. But most of what I've read, I see as more like what you call Unterhaltungsliteratur in German. Mm-hmm. There's entertainment literature, and most of poetry have to do with the environment, which perhaps is a good thing, like we should be more environmentally conscious. So, but as far as the day-to-day politics within or surrounding Canada goes, I haven't seen much engagement with those, in this realpolitik kind of way. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You mentioned that you'd spent a lot of time in Germany. I think you were there for 8 years.
Yes.
And I noticed that your next collection of poems, part of that collection, has a very provocative title, which was Hitler's Children. And I was wondering if you could comment on that and your experiences in Germany.
Germany was a bittersweet experience. I had friends there who are like family. I consider them family, very humane and accommodating and liberal to a a very good extreme. But at the same time, you have a kind of organized right wing still active in Germany. And right now I hear they're winning parliament seats in the east of Germany. So my experiences was, you felt like an outsider. You felt like on the fringe of the society, sort of. If you're a colored person, if you're Turkish, there's a Turkish community in Germany that's been there since after the Second World War. They came in to help rebuild, but they still sort of live a kind of separate life due to the political realities. It's not an official thing, but it's sort of, shall we say, tolerated in the sense that the government feels there's a democracy and people should be able to express their opinions. But then one wonders if there shouldn't be a limit to how somebody's freedom should not disturb another person's freedom. If they can go, the right wing can go on the streets, attack people physically and kill them, then that's going beyond the brief of democratic structures. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So do you feel then, I mean, the Canadian laws which against hate literature, promoting hatred, do you think that's a valuable idea?
Very, 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 very valuable. I know Canada, like every society where you have human beings, there's always going to be some problems. If they're not attacking each other, they'll be attacking the forest. But Canada is basically one of the most peaceful countries in the world, and hopefully it remains like that. And these hate laws help to, curb excesses in certain, sections.
You've also mentioned a number of times in talking with you your concept of ecology, your concept of ecology, and a sense that all life forms are connected. Perhaps you could talk about that a little bit.
From my own experience, having been a monk in the monastery, we were taught to see everything as connected.
So where were you a monk? Maybe we should talk about that a bit.
That was in Nigeria. I was 24 at the time, and I went into the monastery because I tried. I was a born-again Christian. I had too many questions which the church wouldn't answer, which you weren't supposed to ask questions. You just followed. You just had faith, and so I joined these people, saw them dancing on the streets one day, the way they do in Toronto as well, and went to the monastery and ended up staying there for some 6 months.
So what kind of monastery was this?
It was a Hindu temple,
okay.
And very regimented kind of, disciplined, spiritual kind of living.
So you get up at 5 in the morning and pray, or?
Say, you wake up 3 a.m. in the morning.
3 a.m.
Yes,
Ouch.
every day. And you took your shower, no matter if it was a bit cool, because in the tropics it can get cold in the morning. Like if it's cold or not, you take a cold shower so that you wake up, and then you went into the monastery by 4 in the morning and start the morning service with some devotional songs, music, and in between that you intersperse it with chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. And then you did what they call Guru Puj. Guru Puj is like paying obeisance to your spiritual master. And by 10 in the morning, we all had communal breakfast. And then after that, those who were chosen who had priestly duties, they now went out to sort of preach, if we put it that way, and distribute the literatures like the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, and other materials.